how do I approach a body of water? Where do I begin? It's that bass fishing overwhelm. And if I had to absolutely break it down into the simplest factor, I'm going to tell a new bass angler, or tell any bass angler when they're going to new water, is to look for life. I know that sounds so basic, but it's something that we often just kind of skip right over. And by looking for life, there's a couple things that I'm talking about here. We've got our, birds, more of our terrestrial type life, and then we've also got the marine or the aquatic type life, and you've got to keep an eye out for both. If I just go out onto a new body of water, I'll never forget going on Grand Lake of the Cherokees in Oklahoma one of the first times, and I was ripping down the lake, and I was just out recreational fishing. I wasn't bass fishing specifically, I just wanted to catch fish, and there was a ton of gulls circling overhead as I was coming around this big point. And I slowed down, did some investigating, and sure enough, we ran across a massive school of white bass and just caught fish after fish after fish after fish. For probably 45 minutes to an hour, those fish just stayed up for the longest time, but it was those birds that located them for us. Now, as far as marine or aquatic life, what I'm looking for is minnows, okay? I'm looking for, panfish, little tiny fish breaking the surface. Those are all good examples of, okay, there's life in this area. One of my other favorites is when I see a great blue heron or other types of shorebirds. Those birds are just excellent predators, and if they're hanging out in a certain area, you better believe it's because there's life there. Well, if you got the bait, you got the prey fish, the shad, and they're shallow enough where those shorebirds can go ahead and get a meal, there's going to be bigger predators nearby, your bass, your walleye, pike, those types of things. So look for signs of life when you see let's say I'm in a small little creek right here, and the wind is coming out of the north. It's not super strong, but there is a north wind. If I'm going through here and I'm seeing minnows and small bait fish on the south bank, but I'm not seeing any on that north bank, that tells me the wind is pushing the smaller fish, the zooplankton and stuff, up to this side, and that's where the food chain is going to be activated. So always, always, always be looking for life. And if you don't see life, if you're going down the shoreline, you're not picking up any life shallow, well, now you know those fish are probably going to be a little bit deeper. If you've got a boat and got some graphs, now you're going to hopefully start marking some schools of bait. But if you're a shore angler, this is where you can start to probe a little bit deeper. Try to find that first break, that first ledge off of that shoreline. You'll probably be at the maximum distance of your cast, but if you're not seeing life shallow, it's going to be out a little bit farther. In all my filming underwater, there are so many times where I will not see any bluegills, crappies, panfish, in the shallows whatsoever. But boy, I just back off the bank a little bit, and there's massive schools of them hanging out in like that 10-foot range. So they're not crazy deep, they're just a little bit deeper. So always, always, always be looking for life. And if you'd like to watch a video that shows what ledges look like underwater, where oftentimes these fish will pull off to when they're off the bank, go ahead and check this video out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.